clauses of contrast, and really this is linking words of contrast, linking words like subordinating conjunctions, but also like conjunctive adverbs, and we looked at both of them last time. We also looked at no matter what, no matter who, no matter where, or whoever, whatever, wherever, however. We also did no matter how much, no matter how many. Yeah, we did a lot of different clauses of contrast and concession. So we're going to look at a little bit more from this guy's website. It's a guy called Will. His website is Random Idea English Blogspot. And when I put these lessons on my website, of course, I will link to his website as well so that you can see the original questions. I really like his website. If anybody out there wants a detailed explanation, then please, you go to Random Idea English Blogspot, because this is the best place for really detailed information. I think it's a lot better than a lot of the grammar books. So let's have a look at what else he tells us on this page. And we're going to go through it quite quickly. Although if you want to slow down and take it in, you know, give yourself time to absorb the information, please go to his website. It's very good. So after we did this exercise last time, yeah, we did however much she practiced, she couldn't get the hang of it. The people were incredibly friendly wherever we went. Although we had already eaten, we went for a pizza. I've made up my mind, whatever she says about it, no matter how hard I try, or how else can we put it? However hard I try, or no matter how hard I try. Both of them work. We went for a walk despite the wet weather, because despite is followed by a noun phrase, and that's just a noun phrase. Yeah, so remember, despite is a preposition. It's very important. Quite often I see mistakes with this. Despite a noun phrase, or despite and gerund, and exactly the same for in spite of. Okay, now number 7 we're going to look at in a moment. Tired as we were. You can front adjectives when you use as and though, and you say tired as we were, we managed to make it to the top of the hill. So tired though we were would also work, and you're contrasting here. You're saying even though we were tired, we managed to make it to the top of the hill. So that's a really good quite an interesting sentence, because you front the adjective, and things like that do add color and variety to your essays, so they're well worth using occasionally in the writing. Okay, number 8, we spoke to, whoever we spoke to told us the same thing. Yeah, just doing this to remind you all what we learned last time. I've always been fairly relaxed, whereas my sister gets a bit uptight. Much as I love, so this much as is like although, and I've got to say, it sometimes is written as, or said as much as. Yeah, as much as I love our holidays in Spain, I do like a change sometimes. So sometimes you'll see it as just much as, and sometimes as much as. And the same goes for hard as I tried. You will sometimes see as hard as I tried, and as tired as we were, as tired as we were. Yeah, I don't see much wrong with that, as tired as we were. So sometimes you'll see the as before the adverb or adjective, and the same with as much as. Okay, but this is the same as although I love our holidays in Spain, I do like a change sometimes. He did a lot of revision, but still failed the exam. So this but still is used to add contrast. But still and then verb. And then we're going to be late, whichever way we go. So that was a little bit of revision from last time. Now let's kick off with this. Although the exam was difficult, he passed it easily, can be rewritten as difficult though the exam was. And here we front the adjective. So remember, this is an interesting sentence. It's a way of making your sentences more interesting. Now be aware, only though works. Although and even though do not work in this position when you front the adjective. Only though works, yeah? So that's the first important thing to remember. He tells you that linking verbs are very good with this. It tends to be done with linking verbs like be. Yeah, obviously we're using be here. We've got was and was in you know, we're using the verb to be. But also the other linking verbs, the copular verbs like seem, appear, become, look, sound. And it does sound really good. It sounds quite literary, but it sounds interesting if you put it in your speech as well. So here are some examples, and we can use as or though, but he points out that with as, there's less of a contrast, there's less concession. It sounds as though it's just cause rather than concession. Yeah, it's giving you the reason why. So talented though she is, she didn't get the first prize. Yeah, even though she is talented, or talented as she is. And here we're saying that even it's very similar. I don't think it's worth separating the two, because to me they both feel the same, the though and the as. So let's just leave it as that. Smart though she appears, she was unable to answer the question. Smart as she appears. Surprising though it sounds, I've never been to London. Yeah, even though it sounds surprising, not amazing. I think he's made a little mistake there. Okay, so that's a very interesting form, and let's practice using it. So here are the examples. We've got to choose from these words here, yeah, and front the adjective each time. Okay. So let's have a look. A few people have said good morning Alia, good morning Eunice, good morning Mary, good morning Romelia, good morning Sana. And it's not a book, Alia, it's a website called Random Idea English Blogspot. If you look for it on Google, you'll find it immediately. And it's a page which is dealing with clauses of concession and contrast. So if you just put Random Idea English Blogspot concession, I think you'll find it as one of the top links. And it's a very long page. Yeah, so please have a look at it. It's a great page. So if anybody wants to write the answers down, if they think they know the answers, please do. But I will go through them one by one. So we just need to front the adjective each time. So how about for the first one, we've got he hasn't had a holiday for years. So strange, let's choose this one. Strange as it may seem. Yeah, strange though it may seem, he hasn't had a holiday for years. Yeah, for the next one, he isn't as talented as my brother. So let's use the adjective good, which is similar to talented. Yeah, good though he isn't as talented as my brother. Yeah, good though he is. Okay, the next one is about transport. And so how about fast though the train is, it still took us most of the day to get there. You know, I think we ought to put this into past as well. Fast though the train was, it still took us most of the day to get there, because that verb is past. So I think it works better with fast though the train was. Fascinating though it sounds, I think I'll give it a miss. Yeah, fascinating though it sounds, I think I'll give it a miss. Rich though he is, he's not exactly generous with his money. Yeah, rich as he is, he's not exactly generous with his money. So next one, it turned out that he was actually correct. So how about unlikely though his answer was, yeah, unlikely though his answer was, it turned out he was actually correct. Okay, he managed to complete the whole course. So how about exhausted though he was, he managed to complete the whole course. Yeah, because he's exhausted can be mentally tired as well, really. And outclassed though he was, he still put in an excellent performance. So that's how we front those adjectives. I hope that's all clear. Let's go on to some more expressions. So here we go through but still, which is a little bit, notice we use a verb after but still. He ran his best race yet. Yeah, so there's your first verb phrase, but still managed to come almost last. So when you want to contrast two verb phrases, you can use but still. Yeah. And it's the same as he ran his best race, even though he managed to come almost last. Yeah. But with this but still, you can drop the he. Yeah. He ran his best race yet, but still managed to come almost last. And the commas there really to show the contrast between the two verb phrases. Okay, even so and all the same can come immediately after but or at the end of the sentence. And I think these are a little bit like nevertheless, but nevertheless, yeah. So there may be some problems, but nevertheless, I think we should go ahead. But even so, I think we should go ahead. And he points out that you can put the even so at the end, but I think we should go ahead even so. Same with all the same, but all the same. He made a big mistake, but all the same, I think we should give him a second chance. He made a big mistake, but I think we should give him a second chance all the same. Yeah, so this, but all the same, and but even so, they're like but nevertheless, really. And it can be split up. They can both be split up. And we do use yet to give concession as well. And yet is a fanboy's word. So you could just use a comma there, it seems to me. The neighborhood is only 5 minutes from the city center, yet it is a haven of peace and quiet. So yeah, this yet can introduce contrast. Okay, and sometimes you'll see and yet. He put in his best performance to date and yet failed to even win a medal. So here we just got two verb phrases again, and we're contrasting them with the yet. Okay, he points out that sometimes when can have a concessive meaning, and it can. I think he stayed out late when I specifically told him not to. I think this is more informal English, but certainly he's right that sometimes it adds a certain amount of contrast. Okay, he goes through if, and he points out, although I would argue that this is a very informal use of the conjunction if, although we do hear it in conversational English. So as a descriptive grammarian, I've got to admit that, yes, it is used like this, and he's right. But still, in an academic essay, I would err on the side of caution and not use if as though it can be used like although. Yeah, it can sometimes sound okay, but still it sounds not academic to my ears anyway. You know, it's possible if difficult, I think is much better. It's possible though difficult, or it's possible albeit difficult. Yeah, and so we'll look at albeit in a moment, but personally I'm not that keen on if there. I think it sounds conversational. Okay, then we've got a little bit of may and but. David may have passed with a higher grade, but Sally shows better attitude. So this kind of correlates the two clauses, yeah, and sets up a mild contrast, yeah, or a certain contrast. David may have done this, but Sally did that. Now, albeit is very often used with adverbs, yeah, it's not followed by a clause. That's the first thing to remember, but usually by an adverb, especially of manner, albeit reluctantly, albeit rather slowly, or a prepositional phrase functioning adverbially, yeah, albeit with some hesitation, albeit without much success. And he points out that with and without are the prepositional phrases you very often see with albeit. Okay, now you could replace albeit with although here, or concessive if, as he points out, although I disagree. Well, in an academic essay, I don't think it's a good idea. But the albeit phrase always follows a verb, but it can come between two verbs. So it comes later than the verb. Look at some of these examples. They finally agreed, albeit reluctantly. They made it up the hill, albeit rather slowly. She finally accepted his idea, albeit with some hesitation, and he tried as hard as he could. Yet try as he might is a way of fronting the verb here. You might say try as he might, he couldn't succeed, or he tried as hard as he could, albeit without much success. Okay, now he points out now that with although expressions and with but expressions as well, quite often we'll emphasize with a do or a did or a have or a can, we'll add the auxiliary verb to add emphasis. And remember that we do this very often in English. We add that do or did to make it sound stronger. Okay, so to make it even more of a concession. Now here he points out what I said earlier about as and as. You can say as much as instead of just much as. So as much as I regret having done it, or much as I regret having done it. And strange as it may seem, or as strange as it may seem. So both are possible, and that's worth remembering. Now he goes on to some advanced stuff, very interesting points that he makes here. And he mentions that after although, though, even though, and while, but not whereas, you can use ing forms. Okay, and I think this is why loads of people mix up despite and although. With despite, you can use an ing form. In fact, you must with despite, and you mustn't use a clause. But with although, you can use a clause because it's a subordinating conjunction. But you can also form these reduced concessive clauses by just using the gerund form and not including the subject, because the subject will be in the main clause anyway. Yeah, and so it's a little bit like, basically, you see these four words, which are all subordinating conjunctions, and then you just see a participle phrase. not wanting to offend him, generally singing her praises. They're participle phrases, aren't they? And notice that the subject of while not wanting to offend him and although singing her praises must be the subject of the main clause. Yeah, this is, otherwise you'll have a dangling participle, you'll have a dangling modifier, and we've spoken about this before. But these four words, these four subordinating conjunctions do have reduced clauses after them, participle phrases, I would call them, while not wanting to offend him, although generally singing her praises. And of course, not just present participle phrases, but past participle phrases as well. So though given every chance, he refused to explain his actions. And again, this subject is the person who wasn't given every chance, who was given every chance. And even though asked politely, comma, she still refused to help. So again, we've got past participle, asked, given, and then even though she was asked very politely. That would be the longer version, but this is the reduced version. And lastly, we also get verbless constructions where the verb to be is omitted and its subject. So while a gifted musician, while certainly a gifted musician, he, yeah, so while he is, the he is missing. We drop it. And the same here, he is fitter than most 50-year-olds, though he is well into his 80s, but we drop the he is and just say, though well into his 80s. Okay, so he does a little bit more on fronting. You can front adverbs. Hard as he tried, yeah, no matter how hard he tried, yeah, however hard he tried, hard as he tried, he couldn't budge it. So there's a lot of different ways of saying hard as he tried, yeah, no matter how hard he tried, as hard as he tried, hard as he tried, however hard he tried. That's a lot of different ways. Please vary your sentences and use a lot of these different ways of expressing yourself, and it will improve your English. You can front nouns. Idiot though I may be, I'm not that stupid. Yeah. Now it's normally with the nouns, normally with the verb to be. Yeah. Idiot though I may be. Yeah. Fast though I am. Yeah. Something like that. Fast though I am. Idiot though I may be. Oh, fast isn't a noun. Let's have a noun. So teacher though I may be. Something like that would be possible. And so it sounds quite literary, quite old, but it does sound nice. So you can front nouns, adverbs, and even verbs. Try as he might, he just couldn't find his keys anywhere. And fail though she did this time, she didn't give up hope of passing eventually. So we've got these verbs, fail and try, at the front. Also, we can do it with that and be. Fool that I am, yeah? Teacher, fool that I am, I nevertheless managed to get everything right. Or what else could we say? You know, this would normally be, I must admit, it wouldn't normally be something concrete, but, well, I mean, a fool is a concrete thing, but you wouldn't normally say teacher that I am, teacher that I am. Well, maybe teacher that I am, I constantly correct others' mistakes. That would be okay, in fact. So yeah, why not? And here we've got an adjective. Confident as she was, she soon came unstuck in the interview. So I won't worry about the casual meanings because I prefer to look at the concession. I think the casual meanings are rare, but we're going to do two exercises now, and I'm going to do it straight away. So please stick around. We're going to do the two exercises on his website because they're brilliant exercises. Now, perhaps when I put them up on my website, I will write another exercise, a new one that will be on my website as well. But just to practice all these different ways of showing contrast and concession. So I'm going to stop this lesson and then start again in about 10 seconds. So hang around and I will be back.